So what we're going to go through today, guys, is why you need a well-defined framework, how to apply the Six-Step-Neg-Method. And this is the thing that I love as well. When you finish a negotiation, you guys are going to be able to look back and say to yourself, well, you're going to be able to evaluate. You're going to be able to look back and say to yourself, did I do well? And you'll know how to measure well. Now, when I say how well you did, I'm not just talking about price here. The price you got, that's important, getting yourself a really good price. But at this stage, I want you guys to focus on how well did you execute the technique? Yeah, how much more confident were you delivering than you were last time? Because remember, every time you should be aiming to get better and more confident. Okay, so step one, guys, breaking the ice. I want you to just quickly think about how much time do you spend on softening up the customer when they first come to you?
1 minute. 1 minute. I just ask them just to find any common stuff between me and him that you feel connect with him.
Yeah. It's searching for common ground. One thing that I do and that I teach is a concept called the +1. Okay? +1. Write that down, guys. +1. Now, a +1, believe it or not, is what we call a nugget of information that you can always use when you are speaking with that customer. So, for example, let's think of Ben. If I'm having a chat with you and I first meet you as a customer, I know that you're a lawyer. For example, yeah, I know that you're a lawyer. Ben, do you watch Suits?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, do you know Suits on TV? Do you ever watch that?
I'm not really wearing suits, but no, I watched. I didn't hear it for the first sentence. I watched it. Yes, I watched it. Yes.
Great. Okay, that's common ground. Bang, right there. Yeah. So I'm just like I will use that. If I know Ben's a lawyer and I can think of something to do with law, I will use that as much as I can whenever we're speaking.
All right.
Yeah? That's a +1. That's something that is it's an emotional connection. Another fantastic +1, and most people don't do this, but I would recommend you do it. The family. The family. Okay, so if I'm having a chat with someone and I work out that they have kids, or they've just gotten married, or they've got pets. You mean I mean I've got 2 cats myself, so I can then get into something about pets. Now, most people won't spend the time to do that sort of thing, but I will, because I know if I can find common ground, or like I know you have a German Shepherd that you love. If we've got any pet owners in the room, you know the feeling. Yeah, like I'll start a conversation on that. It's weird, but how many times a day does someone stop and ask you about yourself? Doesn't really happen. Like it just doesn't happen. And guess what? When someone takes the time to stop and ask me questions and listen, I look at that person completely differently. It's one of those biological things. I stop and I think to myself, this person's different. And guys, the funny thing is, this doesn't really happen at a conscious level. It's unconscious. Do you reckon Donald Trump knows what to do if he's dealing with one of your customers? No. Yes. He like a skilled negotiator knows what they're doing with this sort of situation. And I'm going to show you in a second. Don't let the customer force the situation. They're just going to try. You've got to think of a different way of doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why this stuff is going to be really useful for you. Get them talking about themselves. Do whatever it takes to get them talking about themselves. Like give them a sweet. Give them something so it shuts them up. You know, and then say to them, okay, so why, like, tell me why you've decided video is going to be very effective for your business in the next 18 months. Yeah. What value have you given to them? That's another thing. What value have you given to them before they can ask you that first question? I.e., for example, I know that when you're looking at the trends in business and digital media, video is like the most important thing now, isn't it? It's like, it's the most important thing. So I would be asking the customer, what do you know about video, and what do you know about how video can increase your return on investment going forward? Do you know how important video is going to be to your business? Do you understand? Break it down from that perspective. Break it down emotionally before you do rationally. Okay? So I imagine you could be falling into the trap of, when you are asking questions, you could be asking what questions, when questions, and who. Those questions are going to give you closed answers. Who else have you looked at? ABC videos. You know, that's the answer. ABC videos and top of 5 videos. Don't focus on closed questions. Focus on asking questions that start with where, why, and how at the very start. Okay? Next, guys, the other thing I want you to bear in mind, which is mega important, it's probably in this first step, it probably makes up about 80% of how effective you're doing something. But you have verbal, non-verbal communication. I want you to stop and think about this. How are you saying what you're saying? How? Sorry?
You start to do like this, you're thinking. You start to, when I think, when a customer start to do like that,
Yeah.
start to think about what you say, start to listen to you, and it's difficult for him to say yes or not.
Yeah.
So this ways pushing into it.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, yes, using force with some people is going to work. It won't work with everyone. If you're dealing, let's say you get into a negotiation with like an MD at a big company, like a huge company, force probably isn't really going to cut it. But what I want you to bear in mind is, with these big companies and these big wheeler dealers, the best way to sell to these big companies is, can you get them out of their comfort zone? Can you take them out to lunch? Honestly, can you take them out to lunch? Can you take them to the golf course? You know, can you get them in a completely different situation where they can relax and have fun? Do you know how many deals get done at the country club? You know, and at like the most expensive restaurants? Do you know? It's like, it's crazy. That's where all the high level deals are happening. You need to get yourself in those places, speaking to those sorts of people and negotiating with them in that sort of environment. If they walk into your store or it's over the phone, it's less, you can't connect as well, can you? But if you're in that sort of environment, you're both relaxed, you're eating. Eating statistically is, it's like families. Families connect over eating. Yeah, it's tapping into that. So, I mean, if you're trying to pursue someone to do a big deal with them, invite them out to lunch. Something like that. Like, invite them out to play a game of golf, even if you're bad at it. Or what about tennis or badminton? You know? Yeah. Well, like, I mean, again, if you can get into competitive situations, these people love that. And even if you're bad, even if you're terrible, tell them first and then say, look, but I'm still going to try and beat you. They love that. You know, they love that. They love to see a bit of, and then once you've opened them up and you've made them, you sort of established a connection, That's when you then start going into the business stuff. But get them to like you first. Guys, verbal affirmations. When that person is speaking to you, what's really interesting is this. If you can show that you are listening, and it's very difficult to show that you're listening, but if you're using these techniques like saying, I see what you're talking about. I really understand. I get you. I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm listening. I hear what you're talking about. Nodding and saying, sure, I get it. I understand that one. You're displaying that you are genuinely listening. Again, when you're dealing with people during the day, how many times do you see someone using these? Not often. And that's because people aren't really listening to you. But if you can demonstrate that you are doing this and you are a listener, you put yourself in a completely different category to most other people. And guys, what I also want you to bear in mind, what you are trying to do in stage 1 and stage 2 of this framework, you are trying to impress your customer. You're trying to impress them, and you've also got to express. You've got to show them by expression. Show by expression that you are different, that you're not the normal business owner. You're not just here to take their money. You care.